Time to break it down with the latest Dez Bryant rumors and my 5 best teams to sign Dez Bryant this summer. Fresh list. Let's get into those rumors and talk about where we stand. So, Dez will visit with the Browns this week, as I have mentioned. And this comes after Browns GM John Dorsey said he was hoping to bring in Dez Bryant at some point for a free agent visit. So Dez took to Twitter, said he wouldn't mind playing for the Cleveland Browns, but he wanted to take his time. And boy, has he taken his time. Ever since being cut by the Dallas Cowboys, really 2 teams that we know of have shown interest in Dez Bryant, the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. So apparently the AFC North is very much interested in Dez. By the way, Antonio Brown recently took to Twitter trying to recruit Dez Bryant as well. So throw in the Pittsburgh Steelers as a potential team too. So the Browns could use a red zone target to go along with David Njoku. You take a look at the wide receiver depth chart here for Cleveland. Obviously, Landry is your top line guy. Gordon has yet to show up to training camp as he tries to go through his health process. Antonio Callaway, rookie wide receiver, stay off the weed. Rashard Higgins, Jeff Janis as well. I will note, Dez also tweeted he's starting his visits this week with the Cleveland Browns. Notice that was plural. So we may not have news this week about Dez Bryant signing with Cleveland, and the Browns may not be the only team that's hosting him within the next couple of weeks. Maybe Dez scoots on over to Cincinnati right after the Browns and visits with the Bengals, or maybe he scoots on over to Pennsylvania and meets with the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Philadelphia Eagles, where he can play the Dallas Cowboys, of course, at least twice a year. So the 28-year-old Dez Bryant finished with 69 receptions, 838 yards, and 6 touchdowns for the Cowboys last year. Not great numbers, not quite 2014 Dez Bryant, but he can still produce as a wide receiver, particularly in the red zone. So for the Browns, they would be smart to sign him. They have a lot of salary cap space to play with. So we'll see if they can actually close the deal on Dez. But again, visits. So maybe Dez is doing a little tour officially starting this week. What team should Dez Bryant sign with? Let me know in comments on YouTube Live as well as Facebook Live. Let me know what you guys think about Dez Bryant and his future. I see somebody by the name of Cleveland Forever saying that Dez Bryant should sign with the Cleveland Browns. We shall see. One more rumor before I get to my top 5 teams to sign Dez Bryant. Troy Aikman recently spoke upon Dez, and the Hall of Fame quarterback, former Dallas Cowboy, of course, said the following, quote, "I'm not sure his situation as far as what he's wanting, what offers maybe he's had that he's turned down. All that factors into it as a business, but I would be shocked if he's not on a team within the first couple of weeks of the season." So Troy Aikman predicting that Dez Bryant will be on a team at some point. From now until like week 3 of the regular season, Dez will find a team, according to Mr. Aikman here. So there you go. Former Dallas Cowboy giving his 2 cents on that. So let's get into it. My top 5 teams for Dez Bryant this offseason. We'll go with number 5 to kick things off, kind of from the margins, kind of out of nowhere. Let's take a look. Number 5, from Arizona, the Arizona Cardinals. And we have our friends at BetDSI with the Super Bowl odds as well, plus 13,000. I have these Super Bowl odds here because Dez Bryant probably wants to play on a contender. So as we go throughout the list here, we'll get closer to some contenders in the NFL. All right, so for Arizona here, salary cap space of $12.1 million, totally doable. In terms of the depth chart, Larry Fitzgerald, Bryce Butler, J.J. Nelson. Yes, there's rookie wide receiver out of A&M, Christian Kirk. But why not sign Dez Bryant? It could be the ultimate veteran duo, right, of Larry Fitzgerald and Dez on the outside. You got Kirk down the field as that vertical threat. J.J. Nelson can move as well. I think Dez would be a nice complement to Larry Fitzgerald. Now, there's a lot of buzz out there that maybe tight end Ricky Seals-Jones could be the top-line red zone guy for Arizona, and sure, there's reason to believe that. But Dez would certainly help inside the 20s as well. And for Bryant here, I'm not writing him off as washed up. And I'm not saying that he is a cancer in the locker room. I'm not buying into that narrative. I've said this before. It doesn't make sense. Like, if you're Antonio Brown or DeAndre Hopkins, both of them recruiting Dez Bryant before, why would you? If you think he is a problem in the locker room, if you think you won't mesh well with him on the sideline, on the football field, in the locker room, at dinner with your teammates. You know? It just doesn't make any sense. So I think there is more to this whole Dez Bryant is a problem thing. I think it's more of a general umbrella of what the Dallas Cowboys were last year. I think Jason Witten, Dez Bryant, Dak Prescott, other players as well, had their fair share of contentions. It wasn't just Dez. So that's my little soapbox moment about Dez Bryant being washed up and being a bad teammate. He's not washed up. He can be a productive wide receiver in the NFL if used correctly, and especially in the red zone. All right, so Arizona checks in at number 5. Dark horse team, I don't think he actually goes there, but keep them in mind. Let's go to number 4 here, Indianapolis. They've got a lot of salary cap space to play with. Now, the argument against Indy would be that GM Chris Ballard and the Colts leadership want to rebuild from the draft. They don't want to bring in Dez Bryant and throw a wrench into the progress that the Colts have had so far. The argument for Dez is pretty compelling, though. Cap space, $50.3 million, guys. By the way, BetDSI Super Bowl 53 odds of plus 7,000. Much better than Arizona, by the way. The depth chart for Indianapolis. It ain't very good after T.Y. Hilton. Ryan Grant is a lifetime wide receiver number 3. He has no business being the second guy on this depth chart. Chester Rogers, same can be said about him. And you just lost Deion Kane, your 6th-round selection out of Clemson, due to a torn ACL. So now you're searching for some competition. Dez Bryant is your clear-cut wide receiver number 2 if you sign him. He is. And if you're T.Y. Hilton, you're probably applauding this move if Chris Ballard pulls the trigger and signs Dez, because Dez can occupy the intermediate routes, the intermediate space, along with Jack Doyle, the tight end there, and Eric Ebron, too, to be honest with you. And then T.Y. gets these one-on-one situations down the football field using his vertical ability. And Dez gets to play for Andrew Luck, a darn good quarterback in his own right, a healthy quarterback, finally. So there is a compelling argument for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, does Dez want to go there? I'll tell you right now, I have no sourcing, no reporting that says that Dez Bryant wants to play for Indianapolis. But I am saying that there is reason for Indy to sign him if they want to. All right, so they're at number 4 here on my list. I'll get to number 3 in a minute. But first, this is the Cam Rogers Show presented by AutoList. Are you looking for a new or used car out there and you're tired of browsing a million sites? Go on to Autolist.com, browse the largest source of inventory on the web, or download their top-rated mobile app for iPhone or Android today. All right, so Arizona at 5, Indianapolis at 4. Who's at number 3? Let's roll it. On to number 3 here on the list. Cleveland forever on YouTube Live. Well, like this one, the Cleveland Browns are here, $60.2 million in salary cap space. Check. Most in the NFL. Wide receiver depth chart of Jarvis Landry, and absent Josh Gordon, and Antonio Callaway, who can't stay out of trouble. Check. There is a need there. Why Dez Bryant? Well, there's a visit this week on Thursday. If GM John Dorsey is impressed by Dez, maybe they do a little workout or whatever the case may be. I think they sign the contract right there on Thursday. But again, I will note Dez Bryant apparently is expecting multiple visits, not just with the Cleveland Browns. BetDSI Super Bowl 53 odds of plus 9,000. Now, I previously did not have the Browns inside my top 5, but I think it would be moronic to leave them out here amid the rumors of Dez going to visit with the Browns. I guess it's not really a rumor because he said it himself via Twitter. So, look, I think it'd be an interesting addition, and I think it'd be a nice target for Tyrod Taylor, eventually Baker Mayfield. or maybe just Baker Mayfield if he is the Week 1 starter. Talk about an interesting wide receiver core, right? Jarvis Landry, Josh Gordon, Dez Bryant, Antonio Callaway, all of whom were not on the Browns last year, right? Isn't that funny just to think about? Total revamp of the Browns wide receiver depth chart there. So Cleveland at number 3, a team to watch out for, mostly because Dez is visiting them, and maybe John Dorsey doesn't let Dez head onto that airplane and jet on off without a contract. But let's get to number 2 here. We will stay in the AFC North and talk about this team. Super dark horse team, guys. The Pittsburgh Steelers, plus 1,000 odds to capture Super Bowl 53. Cap space is an issue, $4.4 million. But Dez only wants a one-year prove-it kind of deal anyway. So that's why I'm not too deterred by that. So the depth chart. Well, you got AB. You've got Juju Smith-Schuster. Who's your red zone target? It ain't Justin Hunter. It ain't James Washington. Don't even come at me and say that. And it ain't Darius Hayward-Bay. So Dez Bryant fills that void. And I mentioned it. Antonio Brown took to Twitter recently to recruit Dez Bryant. And Dez Bryant retweeted that tweet. So maybe there's mutual interest between the two. Now, GM Kevin Colbert has not said anything like, yeah, we want to bring in Dez Bryant and all that. But Pittsburgh would be a really interesting destination here. Dez gets to go to a contender. He can get that one-year deal if he wants it. And he can play along his buddy Antonio Brown. And he'd probably be their best red zone target. Jesse James may be a little better than Dez, but certainly at the wide receiver position, Dez would be the best guy inside the 20-yard line. So I think it makes a lot of sense. And not a lot of people are talking about Pittsburgh, but you heard it here first on the Cam Rogers Show that the Pittsburgh Steelers are a team to certainly monitor in the Dez Bryant sweepstakes here. So I think Ben Roethlisberger would be happy to have him as well. By the way, somebody came at me on Twitter saying, well, James Washington is there. Well, James Washington is totally a different receiver than Dez Bryant. That's just a fact. Dez is valuable inside the 20s. James Washington is valuable on other areas of the field as a vertical threat. And he's also a rookie. So the jury is still out on what kind of wide receiver he can be in the NFL. We know what Dez can do at this point in his career. Alrighty, let's get to it. Cleveland's not number 1. Pittsburgh's not number 1. Indy's not number 1. Arizona isn't either. The best team for Dez Bryant. Let's get to it on my list. You guys, if you are a loyal watcher, you know the answer. The New England Patriots, the BetDSI favorites to capture Super Bowl 53. Makes so much sense from so many perspectives as my producer Harris Rubenstein stares at me as if I have two heads. Cap space is there. That's fine. $8.6 million. Turnover at the wide receiver position. Jordan Matthews is no longer a member of New England. Malcolm Mitchell, no longer a member of the Patriots either. Yes, they brought in Eric Decker, but is he really a threat for Dez Bryant's hopes to play on New England? This would be a classic Patriots move, guys. Just look at the past. The players that the Patriots have brought in the back nine of their careers. Brandon Lloyd, Michael Floyd, Chad Ochocinco, Albert Hainsworth, which never really panned out, right? I mean, there is a precedent here for the New England Patriots bringing in old grizzled veterans, hoping for a one-year deal to eventually cash out. See, here's what the Patriots would do. They'd bring in Dez for the one-year deal, right? Go to the Super Bowl, which I think will happen, and I'll get to my predictions later in this month, and then just let Dez walk into free agency and cash out with the Cleveland Browns, Indianapolis Colts, or some other team with a lot of salary cap space and willing to sign Dez to a long-term deal. That's not the Patriots' MO, right? They want that one-year deal with Dez and then say bye-bye. So that's how I see things kind of panning out. I have been saying all along that Dez is going to New England. If you recall, way back when there were rumors about Dez being cut by the Cowboys, I had said Dez is getting cut by the Dallas Cowboys. It's happening, it's happening, it's happening. this is happening as well. Let me tell you, I'm predicting New England signing Dez Bryant. If they don't, maybe it's Pittsburgh. If they don't, maybe it's Cleveland. And you see Indianapolis at 4, more of a long shot. Arizona at 5, more of a long shot as well. I think the only 3 reasonable destinations are New England, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland. That's it. Indianapolis, Arizona makes some sense, but there is a big-time drop-off, big-time gap there between 3 and 4. All right, so that's where we stand with Dez. He's visiting with Cleveland this week. We'll see if he signs a contract. I'll have the report on it on Friday morning.